First and foremost, I'd like to thank all for participating in this third webinar organized by the ENATRANS Consortium. This webinar will be focused on presenting the nanomedTAB accelerator instrument, a tool that ENATRANS has been developing and implementing in Europe over the course of the last 3 years. The webinar will have 3 moments. In the first part, Rui Souza from the TAB Management Unit will present the TAB, its mission, what it intends to achieve with the TAB, what we have achieved so far, and what the future brings. In the second part, Eric Mays, one of the experts of the nanomedTAB, who will share his experience as a nanomedTAB expert and also present what to expect from the experts, but also what the TAB expects from the beneficiaries in order to provide the best possible assistance. The webinar will then close with a Q&A session where all of you are encouraged to pose all the questions that you might have regarding the TAB, be it the application process, what to expect from us, what will be the future of the TAB, you name it. We want to provide the most information possible to guide you through the process and benefit the most from this instrument. And now, without further ado, I'd like to pass the mic to Rui Souza and wish you all a pleasant session.
Okay, thank you, João. Good morning, everyone. So my name is Rui. I will be here presenting the Nanomedicine Translation Advisory Board, namely its mission, its offering, and also its impact that we have been achieving so far. So let's start by stating the mission of the TAB. So 3 years ago, when ENATRANS started, we wanted to implement an instrument that could help promising nanomedicine projects to achieve success and to guide them through, because we know that sometimes it is complicated to know what to do in the next steps to achieve success in translating to the market and so on. So basically our mission is to help promising nanomedicine projects and our organizations to define a viable path to the market, improve the effectiveness of public investment in nanomedicine, which is also a very important step because some fundings might be better employed than others, and also educate and develop the field of nanomedicine, be it through webinars like we are doing today and other different activities. So, and what is the TAB? The TAB is a service that offers technical and commercial evaluation together with peer support and guidance. And this is also delivered by a team of experts with a broad range of relevant and complementary knowledge, skills, and understanding. So basically we have a team of high-level experts that have plenty of experience in the field of nanomedicine and healthcare in general, having worked in big pharma, and some others also developing their own very promising companies. So like is the example of Eric Mays, who is here with us, and Endomag. We are funded by the European Commission in the framework of the ENATRANS project, which enables us. Yes.
May I interrupt you only to ask the participants if they can mute the micro while we are presenting. So
I think you can mute it as being the moderator. If you could just check it.
Let me see.
Okay, I'll carry on still.
Okay.
So as I was saying, we are also funded by the European Commission in the framework of the ENATRANS project, which is enabling us to deliver this service at no cost to the applicants, which is one of our main value propositions, among others that I will state in briefly. The TAB supports both startups, SMEs, and academics alike, being the academics the ones that may benefit the most so far, based on the statistics I'll also present. And what does the TAB do? So we assess the status and prospects of nanomedicine projects based on standardized criteria, which you can see in our website and application form, which will also provide to you in the end of this presentation. We provide feedback on business, strategic, and technical aspects via the sessions that we have, and also continuous follow-up and feedback. And we provide recommendations to either continue, redirect, restart, or even discontinue projects. So sometimes you may be unsure of what to do and where to go, and we say the experts shared. So instead of doing these tests, try going this way. This might help you save some funds to redirect your project, or even try something new and more promising. So that is our main focus as well. And we guide and mentor teams whose innovations are deemed to be more competitive to their next stage, be it in technical development, providing access to funding. Not that we fund, this is a very important thing that you might ask in the end, but we try to facilitate access to VCs, partnering, regulatory, manufacturing, basically what you need. This is our team of experts. So we have David, starting from top left to right, we have David Bott, Eckhard Schwenner, Eric Mays, who is here with us as well, Yvian Tan, Florian Kemmerich, Felicity Sarton, Laurent V, Michael Eaton, Rudiger Eiden, Cecile Real, Stephen Lansky, and Andrew Parton. You may also read their bios on our website. And very briefly, what is the process of the tab? So everything starts by the application, where you all are right now. So you submit our application, which is a continuous process. We only have defined cutoff dates based on the events that we hold. So we had one in Malaga. Now we'll have a new cutoff date that will be announced soon for the event in Berlin in ETPN 2018. Then we have the stage 1, where you have the tab in sessions. Some projects are invited to have a 2-hour-long session live with our experts, and they receive live feedback. And then after this, we have the written feedback and follow-up phase. So we send you a set of positive aspects, recommendations, and general feedbacks, and also recommendations to work in the months to come and to have continuous follow-up. So this follow-up consists basically on remote meetings or sending us some additional information to be analyzed by our experts. And from then on, we keep evaluating if the project is going well, if something needs to be changed. And when the projects are more mature, then we move on to stage 2, which is the business development phase. This is a tailored support phase. So we have, let's say, some sort of boot camps, so to speak, where you have received business development coaching. We try to accelerate your project by facilitating access to funding, partnering, clinical trials. Well, it's all on a case-by-case basis. And then when you are ready to leave the nest, so to speak, then we stop our intervention, and basically you are a successful company, hopefully, and one of the success cases that will present pretty soon. And I'm saying all these things, and you're probably thinking, but Rui, what have you achieved so far? And here we have some key figures. So far, we had 6 rounds of applications, from which we organized 6 tab sessions in Ireland, Switzerland, Greece, the United Kingdom, Sweden, and Spain. We have received 78 applications on the course of 3 years, focused only on nanomedicine, from 19 different countries, and around 50% of them are being supported. But please note that despite these 50%, all of them have received feedback. So in some form, be it on a written feedback form, where we shared, unfortunately, we cannot follow your project because it is too soon or it is not clear enough. So please reapply in some other time so we can provide better feedback. Others have had a short meeting where we have had some discussion and shared some recommendations. So within these 78 applications, all of them have received some form of support, which is also one of our strongest points, if you ask me. And the success stories, as I mentioned. So far, as a result from the tab, we had an Israeli startup that secured an investment round of around 3.5 million euros. A British startup that secured an investment round of 2.7 million euros, and it's on its path to probably fix, if possible, one of the most complicated diseases in the world. Portuguese SME that reshaped its plan to secure enough funds to keep running. This is one of the cases where they were a bit unsure of where to go, and we say, okay, why don't you try this? This should at least keep you going on to the next steps. And this is what happened. And we also had a Spanish R&D team who has a very promising project in the cancer field that was awarded €500,000 to start up their company. And I can cite you this short testimony by Dr. Susan Metcalf, the founder of Lift Nanotherapeutics, which is the British startup that I mentioned a while ago. So stating that their experience with the TAB has been invaluable, and it put their company in the path to success. So taking out the TAB on board helped them to both hit the funding and also shift things in the right direction to be a successful company, and a very promising one in the UK. So sharing with you some main findings of the TAB to wrap this up. We have proved to be a valuable resource for the European community, nanomedicine community, since we provide an holistic approach to assess, evaluate, coach, and monitor projects in one team. We are more attractive to the academic institutions and startups because they're still in the phase, they don't know the do's and don'ts of developing a business, and they are unsure of what to do and where to go, and this is where we can weigh in the most. Most of the projects are still at early stages of development. The needs and priorities are often misunderstood, so this is part of the educational mission that we also have. But there is value seen even by the failed applications because we provide them feedback to get back on their feet. And the prospects. In the future, we'll be expanding to other key enabling nanomedicines for healthcare in the framework of Nobel, the successor of ENATRANS and Esther as well. All the current projects will receive support in the framework of this new project. We want at least 100 new projects, and we'll also have new marketing measures. So we'll have roadshows where we present success cases and also try to garner more projects. And we'll also have greet and meet events where even before applying to the TAB, you can sit with us and talk a bit about your project and the prospects, and hopefully be invited for the TAB session or even apply yourself. We also want to work on the ability to incubate and fund the most promising projects. But this is a new instrument that we're working on, and I won't shed any light on this as well. But hopefully, in due time, we are able to tell you something about this, and it will be very interesting. Of that, I'm sure, because we will finally close the loop and not only help projects with the expertise of our experts, but also help you boost your company. So thank you all for your attention, and stay tuned for new updates. And by the way, I share with you the Nanomedicine Translation Advisory Board site where you can apply and submit your projects and pose any questions you might have through our contacts. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Rui, for this presentation about the TAB. And now I'd like to pass the microphone to Eric Mays, who will present the expert perspective of this instrument.
Thank you, Klaus. Thank you, Rui. So I don't have slides to share, but I'm happy to talk through really, what makes a good project, why promising projects should apply, tips, as well as really the dynamic of interacting with the TAB and how we can be useful to you as applicants. The first part is really, why should promising projects apply? And I think the main thing that Rui alluded to, but you really won't see until you become part and do your submission, is that the TAB members are truly committed to seeing these projects succeed. So we've all got pretty busy careers as it is outside of the TAB, but the members all find that mentoring and helping support projects is really personally rewarding. And I think the main thing is we want to help you avoid the mistakes that we've made in our careers to see that you get the success, because that's very rewarding to us. The TAB, if you look across, if you follow that link to the website and look at the members' backgrounds, we have a pretty diverse set of backgrounds from not just devices, material science, into pharmaceuticals and drugs, all touching on nanomedicine, but some going even beyond that into a range of technologies and markets. And what we found is that if it's not in our immediate network, or that TAB group, we have the network to help get the right answers and to support you. And that network is available to not only help with shaping ideas, with developing technologies, but also developing relationships with manufacturers and ultimately customers. And Rui mentioned the Israeli startup that got some funding, and that's one that I was involved with as an advisor. They were a bit further along in the development of their product, but they needed to deal with manufacturing and supply chain issues that we were able to help connect them with people. And then finally what we helped with was simply reviewing their pitch deck that they were going out to venture capitalists to use. So they didn't need technical support. It was more on the business side, or just to have feedback on ensuring that their investment slide deck was really investor ready. And I'd like to think that we had helped them achieve that success with the funding they've raised. The next thing that Rui and Klaus have asked me to talk about is what makes a good application. When the tab is reviewing these things, what are we looking for? Are there any tricks and tips? The first and the primary answer to this is to simply answer the questions fully, honestly, and do it with care. As we mentioned, I think we've had 78 applications. There's a lot of reading to do. We want to spend quality time with each one and understand. And so it's not that we necessarily need lots of exposition about the underlying technology, but if you're able to present it in a clear way, it helps make our jobs easier for reviewing and understanding what you have. And related to that is, we have deep experience, but don't assume that we know all the particulars of your technology or market. And because even if we do, we want to establish how much you understand so we can see where we can help. And that's where it's okay to say you don't know. That really helps us understand where we could best support you. All of the questions are important, but really when we start reviewing, we want to see that you understand whether you have this USP, this unique selling proposition or prospect, that you understand the clinical opportunity and the business opportunity. It's not that you need to understand all of those fully, but that you have some nub for why there's a clinical opportunity and what's unique about what it is that you have. The tab can support the rest, whether it's on the technology side, whether it's on the marketing side, whether it's on the fundraising side. But we really are designed to take a technology and help you find a USP in a market. We'd really like to see you've gone through that process. So another thing that I've been asked to talk about is, what is it like working with the tab? What are the dynamics and the interactions with the experts? So when you get the feedback, it might be a bit dry. It's just text. But it's when you get invited to the tab in sessions, which I hope you do, it's a pretty unique experience. Again, as I mentioned, the tab is really committed to seeing you succeed. And while the individual tab members have unique perspectives and unique personalities and can even argue with one another, we are a really highly functional team that are aligned in this spirit of trying to create a stronger nanomedicine community in the EU. And we've been working together for 3 years. People that have busy day jobs that come together specifically for this purpose, and we've created this organization that is really excited to work together and to help make a difference for you. So if you're selected for a tab session or even a Skype call, the tab members, they listen, they help to craft your message, and ultimately act as part of your team. Developing a project can be a lonely experience. Maybe some of you are fortunate to have a company around you or a group of academics that support you, but quite often we see individual academics or individual companies, trying to get something they're very passionate about into the market. And nothing is more rewarding to us than being able to see you progress your project and hopefully to succeed. So the tab is there and interested. And in a pretty short period of time, we've become, I think, we've become very emotionally invested in these projects, particularly the ones that show promise and where the teams are really committed and passionate about what they're doing. And after those tab-in sessions or after a Skype session, there's kind of a tendency for applicants to assume that the tab is not available after the sessions, or too busy, or not really there to support beyond that. But it's true that we really do love updates and the chance to hear from you and to be able to meet or even just Skype regularly. So the Israeli startup I mentioned, they would come back periodically every 4 to 6 months and say, this is what we've achieved, these are our milestones, this is what we think we're going to do next, what do you guys think? And we really had a good dialogue and felt that we were able to support them fully. The final point before we get to questions is I've been asked, what could be useful to participants if they're in a TAB session? When you come to a TAB session, there are all the other opportunities and projects that are there presenting, and it's really valuable, I think, to speak with them. Some are coming back having been maybe rejected at stage 0, and they've done a bit more work, and they've come back from stage 1, or they're going from stage 1 to stage 1 follow-up. Interacting with other companies, other projects is very valuable to hear, what people's challenges are, because quite often you'll find some are similar. And so really utilize the network that you have. It's not just about coming to see the TAB, but to see your compatriots that are taking on these challenges. When you're in a TAB session, there's a tendency to want to take notes. There's a lot of information coming at you. I would highlight, and I don't think we highlight enough of this, that we are sort of recording things. There are people it's not being videotaped, but people are recording the information there. So you don't have to focus on taking notes. We will produce notes of the meeting, capture all the key actions, the flavor of the feedback. And really you should spend your time focused on discussions and asking as many questions as you can. The value is really in this dialogue, and so you should make the most of it. And then finally, be really open about the areas that you need support. When you come to a TAB session, it may feel like it's a Dragon's Den or a pitch session where you're being judged or you're asking for money. This is not the case. So you should be completely honest and open about your opportunity, and you help guide the TAB to the areas where we can help really make a difference. And with that, I hope that gives you some nuggets to help you with preparing your applications, to help you understand what the TAB is, where we want to help, why we want to help, and then ultimately how during those sessions you can use the TAB to get the most out of this opportunity. So I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you, Eric. And now I'd like to give the opportunity to the participants to pose some questions. I don't know if Kathleen or Danielle have some questions regarding the TAB.
If they don't, I do have a question.
No. Okay, go.
Well, first of all, thank you very much, because I think it's the first time that we have the opportunity not only to share, let's say, the global scheme, the global action and some results, but also the field experience of one of the experts. So that's excellent. And I would like to thank Eric for participating in this webinar. Second, my question, Eric, is more about, let's say, the evolution of the TAB, first within nanomedicine and then within the global, the more global, let's say, scope of healthcare. Within nanomedicine, maybe you remember at the beginning we were talking about the improvement of quality of applications. Notably, David Bott was talking about that, and about Innovate UK. Do you still think that, I mean, can you have a testimony on the improvement of the applications, and what kind of improvement? Is it about maturity of projects or pure maturity of applications?
It's actually a couple of things. And David's point regarding Innovate UK, I had the privilege of being at the start of Innovate UK when it was a technology strategy board coming out of the UK's Department of Trade and Industry. I'd worked with David. I'd had a company involved not in nanomedicine, but in nanomaterials and data storage, and was sharing my experience with the government to see how the government could help companies like ours succeed. And one of the things that came out of that project, and it was an initiative that lasted through different governments. It went from a Labour government to a Conservative government. They managed to maintain that, which is sort of unusual for government initiatives to survive a change in party. But that was very critical in the success now of what Innovate UK has become, in that it takes a long time. Not only it takes time for the group itself, like Innovate UK, or for the TAB to form and really see how best they can provide feedback and support to companies. But also, once the first companies came in to the TAB, some got rejected at stage 0, but then we've given them feedback and they've gone and done some work and come back and succeeded at stage 1 and moved on. And there's this continuous process of really building a network and environment for nanomedicine that does get stronger over time. And I think David's point is that it simply takes time for a network, for an industry to develop, and it needs that continuous support. I'm pleased that that the European Union has continued to support ENATRANS and now in its new embodiments, to also extend beyond what we're doing just in nanomedicine into healthcare, life sciences more generally. Again, because of the depth of experience with the TAB, and also really the depth of and breadth of the opportunities that are now coming to us. I think over time we've seen the opportunities become stronger and more mature when they apply to the TAB. But that's not to say that we reject things that are early stage. We want, we recognize that there needs to be a funnel of new opportunities coming through that may be earlier stage, but the longer we can take to develop this space, the stronger the opportunities will be coming through that pipeline to become more mature and ultimately successful commercially.
Thanks a lot. Just a second question. As an expert, your personal feedback would be that you have a better and a broader understanding of the nanomedicine, let's say domain, or in terms of SMEs, since you are part of the TAB, or were you a bit surprised about what you got as applications?
It's a good question. So me personally, I'm the CEO of a company called Endomag. We have really one of the few nanoparticles that's regulated as a medical device. We'll have the first nanoparticle regulated as a device by the FDA. It's been a long process in doing that. So we've got a lot of experience in the regulatory side, but because we've been very focused on developing our company, we haven't really paid attention to what's happening in the rest of the space that's not immediately relevant to our business. And so joining the TAB has been really exciting for me to see the diversity of nanomedicine opportunities that are out there. Ones, basically I've been interested in this field for a long time. It's been my whole profession. Then in life sciences more recently. And to see the promise that nanomedicine really brings across like Lift Nano that you mentioned earlier, their ability to address MS is fascinating, the way they're going about it. It really highlights the fact that nanomedicine or the mechanisms of disease really are on the nanoscale, and you can do quite a lot. It's not just about a lipid delivery system for a particular molecule. It's devices that have nanoservices. It's exploiting nano microarchitecture to get cells to integrate for regenerative medicine. The breadth really has kind of excited me personally, and I think the TAB. And the mechanism works both ways. We were able to bring our backgrounds of regulatory expertise or marketing expertise to opportunities, but also we are excited to see the breadth and again depth of the opportunities that are across Europe.
Well, thanks a lot, and I really look forward to seeing what we are going to have in the extended TAB to all healthcare. It's quite an amazing moment for us. And my last question would be for the people managing the TAB. Could you say a word on the amount of work that globally represents applying to the TAB? I know it's complicated because it depends on every business, but as you all know, the young innovative project holders they have little resources in terms of funding indeed, but also human resources. So how long or how much does it cost to apply to the TAB, even if it's free of charge, in terms of work?
Yes, of course. I can share some information on that. So the process is very simple. Well, it's relatively simple, but it does not take that long. Because basically you have the application where you have to share what your project is, what are your current needs, what do you expect from the TAB. You have to share your view on what are the next steps, what are the milestones to be achieved. If you have funding issues, what are the funding that you need, and most importantly, focus on your IP. What do you have? What is the state of your IP? If you also need help on that, it's basically what you are preparing for your business plan. It's basically what you have to input here in the application form. It is also, it's easily accessible through through our website. I can share the screen as well in this if you will. But it's basically this. It's say what are you applying to the tab for, and what do you have? Why is your project so important for nanomedicine or healthcare from now on? What is the market opportunity? And I know I'm extending too much, sorry. And it's basically it. It's what do you say to your business plan to propose to present your project to VCs. It's what you say here. It's relatively quickly to fill this in properly.
So that people know it's not long like applying to an H2020 calls for proposals.
No.
It's really
Not at
more
all.
simple. So they should just try. And it's like, it's like quitting smoking. And the first time it's really hard, but then it gets easier and easier.
Yeah, it's true. If you know your project well, you can do this in one afternoon.
Great. Thank you very much for all your answers.
You're welcome.
May I jump in here and just add quick words? Can you listen to me?
Yes.
Crystal
Yes?
clear.
Okay. So that was a good question, Alexandre. Actually, I think it's worth saying that in the new phase for the tab, where we are going to extend it for the wider healthcare area, we will have what we imagine as fast track to the tab. So as part of our marketing actions, we will organize roadshows, as Rui presented in his presentation, and green and meet events where actually we will invite participants, potential beneficiaries, let's say, of the tab to pitch their projects for the tab, meaning that we will have a quick way to screen projects and see which of these projects could benefit from the tab with simple presentations, which can be even easier than filling in a complete application form, which is not that time consuming anyway.
Great. Well, I think that you do all that you could do to encourage applications, and we all do that. But I can tell you that on the side of the ETPN, the tab is most probably one of the most exciting initiatives of the last year, because you concretely help the most innovative projects by giving them sharing the experience of the people that have done the job before. So all the best for the rest of the long live to the tab.
Thank you. Also, I would like to take the opportunity to pose 2 additional questions that I think might be important for potential applicants. And these questions might be either for Eric or Rui. So what do you think is a good stage where a project should consider applying to the tab? This is the first question. And the second one is, how does the tab deal with IP? I mean, is the tab retaining any IP? And what about confidentiality?
I'm happy to, I'll let maybe Pedro follow up, but just to say that the tab is engaged in a way such that we have non-disclosure agreement in place. Everything that people present to us is in confidence and kept confidential. If there's a potential conflict of interest, a tab member will not be involved and does not see the information about the potential applicant. We haven't really found that there are many, despite the fact that nanomedicine is a pretty small network, we haven't really found any conflicts of interest. And in terms of intellectual property, correct me here, but there's no IP. We're basically just here to help support you. And because this is a European funded intervention, it's basically hands off. It's all there to support you. The first question, I'll let Rui speak to that a bit more in terms of what we like to see. Ideally, it's great if a company or an organization, a group of academics, or an individual have achieved sort of proof of concept. That's a fun stage to get to where you can talk about the next steps, but it doesn't have to be that. What we prefer, even if it's earlier stage, is to just ensure that people have considered their USP, considered the market they're looking at, considered the healthcare need, the unmet need, and what's special about what they have. And that gives us enough to go off of. It's great if it's further developed, because then we can bring our networks even more to bear to make a bigger difference. But the key element is having that identification of what makes your technology valuable, how you can impact the healthcare environment, and what makes it unique.
Yep. And I make Eric words my own in terms of he's obviously the most indicated person to say what we expect from the applicants, but in terms of the confidentiality, it's, like Eric said as well, we have non-confidentiality agreements, so it's purely confidential. This is a service that we provide to you, so we don't take any IP whatsoever. We basically just try to guide you. We're just a training wheels, nothing more than that. We don't take any IP and don't use anything about your information. We just want your information to help you and guide you. That's basically it.
So I may conclude, as a potential applicant, I wouldn't have to worry about giving away some IP, or even about the sensitiveness of the information that I might disclose, even if I haven't filed for any patents yet. So this will be all kept really secure under the TAB's hands.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and since it's covered by the EC as well, we are extra cautious about that.
Let me ask you a final question, especially for Eric. What do you think are the main pitfalls, the main mistakes that you've seen for projects that you have assessed in the TAB? So maybe this can be also interesting as some basic insight on what were your main lessons learned from the project that you've seen so far.
That's a really good question that I would have loved to have prepared better for. I think it comes to that point I was making about understanding the USP or understanding the unmet need. We've had a few applications that have a really exciting technology, and the TAB could see where that technology could go. But when we start speaking with the project team, realize that they're just focused on the technology and haven't really thought about what and how that could get into a market, or what markets are appropriate for that technology, or really even what would make it unique other than just being an interesting technology. And so the general thing I'd guide against is developing a really cool technology and then coming to the TAB to say, hey, TAB, help us decide how this could be a marketable or commercializable development. And given how the TAB has evolved, some of those earlier projects that were earlier stage were like that, and we found that quite often they were too early for the TAB to really support them properly, and so they've gone back into the mix to try to get a bit more understanding about the market or understanding of how the technology could be applied. As the TAB applicants and the TAB themselves have evolved, those tend to have fallen off. The other thing I'd say is there have been quite a few applications that we get excited about, projects that are really exciting, the people behind them are passionate, they look really promising, but then after a TAB session, they disappear. And then they might appear a year later at a TAB session, and not much has happened. And the group says, well, we've got busy with what we're doing, but they could have reached out to the TAB during that time, and I think the TAB could have helped them achieve more during that intervening period. And so, you know, the tab is, again, not just about a session or a Skype call. You know, once you develop that relationship, again, because it's very open, you know, it's very confidential, and because we get, you know, rewarded just by your success. So, you know, stepping away and not utilizing the tab is also a negative that I've seen. That's that'd be great to reduce by engagement.
Thank you, Eric. That was a great piece of advice and insight. Thank you very much.